A couple of years back, I watched a movie on Netflix entitled God's Not Dead. I enjoyed it profoundly. I thought it was a definite must-see for anyone. The film puts face-to-face atheist and Christian arguments regarding the existence and goodness of God. I thought the movie was tastefully done. It was a feel-good film reminding us not only of God's existence and goodness, but also reminding us of the necessity of having faith in God in our lives. Perhaps one of the most powerful moments in the movie came when one of the characters was making an observation and comparison between his life circumstances and another's. He stated to the other person that, as the self-described meanest guy he knows, he is living the perfect life. Meanwhile, the other person he's talking to, whom he described as the kindest person he has known, her life was full of suffering. Essentially, he was stating the same age-old statement that often gets used by those who oppose God. His conclusion: God either doesn't exist, God isn't good, or he simply doesn't care about us. I can certainly understand where he's coming from, because which one of us have not pondered the same idea to some extent? To continue, her answer to him was, sometimes the devil allows people to live a life free of trouble because he doesn't want them turning to God. Wow. Upon hearing her statement, I was reminded of a biblical passage in John 20 where Jesus teaches a very powerful principle. In order to understand this principle, I will read a short passage in John 20 as reference. We will begin with verse 19. It was the first day of the week, and that very evening, while the disciples were together with the doors locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them. "Peace be with you," he said to them. After he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. Now Thomas, called Didymus by one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he replied, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails have been, and put my hand into his side, I will never believe." 8 days later, his disciples were once again inside with the doors locked, and Thomas was with them. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas replied, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." This principle of belief absent sight is the reason I share this message with you today. Today's world, today's society, especially in the advent and propagation of technology, has become increasingly more all about evidence or proof. And even worse yet, it's not the evidence that they require, but evidence presented in such a perfect way that they can accept it. Much as we saw with Thomas and the John 20 passage. Thomas was presented with a simple truth. "The Lord lives and we have seen him," states the other apostles. Thomas's choice of response: denial, rebuttal. and saying, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my fingers where the nails have been and put my hand into his side, I will never believe," Thomas decided on a very specific parameters for him to verify what is truth. And doing so, he denies the evidence, the signs presented before him, and demands a guarantee in the form of personally seeing the mark of the nails on Jesus and physically examining Jesus and putting his hands in the holes in Jesus' body. Jesus' response and teaching to us all is, "You who do similarly to Thomas, which is every one of us not having accepted Jesus, you curse yourself to death in doing such a thing. Choose life instead. Choose blessings from me," says Jesus, "and simply believing the already abundant signs that I have provided for you so that you may live and not die." In a similar fashion to Thomas's original mindset prior to seeing Jesus and accepting his commandment, everything the world teaches us is about what we can see and prove. The world demands guarantees. We of this world demand guarantees. In fact, look at any kind of effective advertising and you will see the words proof and guarantee in bold and highlighted everywhere. This idea of seeking short-lived comfort and assurances through guarantees or proof does not only apply to marketing, but it infects even our judicial system and is apparent throughout every aspect of our everyday living. If you have eyes to see, there is evidence abundant, not only of God's existence, but also of his benevolence. The problem, however, is that many of us refuse to accept the signs that are available to us. Sometimes it's because of our past pains and sufferings. Other times we refuse God because all we have known and are taught is to glorify ourselves, to glorify our intelligence, and to glorify our accomplishments. These are very fundamental concepts that this world teaches us every single day. Either way, we reject God's truth and his commandments because we already believe the teachings and commandments of this world and have therefore closed our eyes to receiving any other teaching that contradicts the one we are familiar with. We often judge God with a certain finality, I might add, as is the case with every judgment, using only a segment, a snapshot, a moment in life. When we conclude, like the man in this movie, that because God has allowed this or that evil thing to happen to me or to those that I care about or to those that I deem to be innocent, our evidence that God therefore obviously isn't a benevolent God or God clearly doesn't exist, our conclusion, we are in truth rejecting God and are opposed to him. By making this statement in our hearts, we're also saying that if good things happen to me or to those that I care about or to those that I deem innocent, evidence, God exists and is of course benevolent, our conclusion. By our logic, therefore, we curse and trapped ourselves, identically to how Thomas did, demanding a very specific form of evidence or proof to free ourselves and rejecting the obvious and sufficient sign presented to us. Such a simplistic logic is how we allow unscrupulous characters to deceive us and usurp our societies and good ways of living. As long as those who wish to prey upon us offer the better or most opportune logic based on the evidence presented at the given time, and we use this simplistic logic to verify truth, they win, regardless of what is righteous, nor what is the actual truth of the situation. We who believe without seeing are blessed, because we're able to interpret the evidence or signs properly, meaning in the right context of everything, both the physical and the spiritual, the seen and the unseen. This is helpful even in a human courtroom. In order to arrive at the truth, it is vital that the tangible evidence of the crime details are carefully considered, as well as the intangibles, which often weigh as much, if not more, than what we can observe physically. This is a standard I believe we should all strive for in all aspects of our lives. If we disregard this teaching of Jesus regarding avoiding judgment and believing solely or primarily based on sight, which is the standard of the world, we end up falling right into one of the devil's traps. As long as the devil ensures that we can observe, or in this case experience, success in our endeavors in our lives, we will not focus on the more important things in life. All important things like our souls and its imminent demise, until it is too late. Perhaps some may think, well, I don't really care, as long as I have it good here. YOLO, as the kids say. Or, I'm still young, I have plenty of time. I promise you that you will care in due time. And you are also short on time. When the fame, the money, the power, the glory, the pleasure, the beauty, the youth, and time fade away, you will be face to face with your exposed self and God as your mirror. When you are left naked and exposed and facing death so close that you can now see it, then you will ask the big questions about life, the important questions about life, and seek answers. I promise you, at that time, you will not be seeking answers about accomplishments, scores, and milestones based on your YOLO life view, or seeking clarity based on the riches you have amassed that you will shortly abandon. Instead, you will contemplate the invisible things in life, the intangibles, like who you were as an individual, the meaning of your choices, and how your deeds stack up in the grand scheme of all that matters in the eyes of God. Here lies the wisdom in Jesus' commandment regarding belief without sight. When presented with a piece of evidence, sign, or proof, it is imperative that we remember to not simply accept and believe what we can perceive through sight, which is easily manipulated. Instead, let us rely on faith. Let us believe by stepping into the great unknown. With the mighty power of God and His Holy Spirit, He will reveal to us the truth. He will reveal to us the undoubtedly missing pieces from the puzzle, which can only be perceived through the Spirit and the unknown, which is God's eternal domain, and which is only accessible through faith. All of us have a date with destiny, a destiny presented to us by God at the crossroads of destiny. It is at this crossroad of choice that a decision must be made, which determines the path that we end up on. At this crossroad of destiny, the crossroad of the only choice that truly matters in existence, we decide which path we will take. We will decide, to use the language of the world, either the path of the atheist, or the path of the deist and agnostic, or the path of the true believer. If we decide or judge that based upon the evidence presented to us on earth, through our experiences and observations, that God doesn't exist, or that God doesn't care about us, then our choice will lead us to live a life absent God and ultimately to death. If we decide, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm on the fence, I don't want to decide, we essentially turn back and wait for more evidence to be presented to us to inform our decision. This decision, and it is a decision, leads us likely to a life similar to that of a deist or an agnostic. We live our life, experience life's ups and downs, enjoying our good moments with those we love and doing what makes us happy. We may or may not seek for more evidence. We simply let time pass and hope that maybe something will come along to essentially make the decision for us. Lastly, at the crossroad of destiny, if we decide that in observing all the signs available to us, that we are already certain or convinced that God exists and is a personal God, and that He has created us and has already come to visit us and walks with us always. Or that based on the evidence and the signs available to us, something else we cannot quite explain makes way more sense than what we're currently observing and experiencing, and take the bold step into the unknown in the Spirit, exercising our faith, because we obviously do not possess knowledge of the unknown, and diligently work the teachings and commandments of God, and therefore avail ourselves to full access to God and His limitless grace. Then are we disciples. Then are we true believers and therefore sons. And if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we suffer with Him, so that we may also be glorified with Him. So, the next time you're experiencing either great difficulty or great success, remember to not let your judgment of yourself, and especially your judgment of God, be based simply on the evidence. There is always more than meets the eye. Be blessed, and as Jesus commands us, let us continue to believe without seeing.